Hey guys, HDV here and welcome to a brand new video. Today we've got a ton of crazy stuff to go over. New Mega Evolution leak updates for Legend ZA and the Pokemon anime. As well as that, a Nintendo Switch 2 has apparently been stolen from a factory. We also have some other Nintendo Switch 2 updates to go over as well. A lot of things to break down today. So if you're excited for the video, drop a like down below, leave a comment, subscribe if you're brand new, and let's get into the video. So, starting things off, let's go over the new Mega Evolution leak updates regarding Legend ZA and the anime as well. So, this is a spoiler for the anime, but you've probably already seen it right now because of all the Mega Zeraora stuff that's kind of been going on. But Mega Zeraora is in the Pokemon anime. So, we spoke about this slightly in a previous video, but I wanted to go into it in a little bit more detail by going over this post from Armashinu. So, it's a weird one. Zeraora was originally going to be in Pokemon Legend ZA, but was then cut out of Pokemon Legend ZA, but then potentially might be back in Legend ZA to do with DLC and stuff like that. So Armashinu here saying Mega Zeraora is in the Pokemon anime. However, it is not in the base game of Pokemon Legend ZA. You know what that means? A DLC is/was planned for Pokemon Legend ZA. So the anime clearly steering into the kind of Mega Zeraora arc, which is why it's called Mega Voltage. You know, the next Mega focused anime poke arc is called Mega Voltage for a reason. So it's Mega Voltage because it's about Mega Zeraora. So I don't know if one of the main characters is going to capture Zeraora or what, but Mega Zeraora is going to be in the anime, and it's going to be the focal point of the anime as we get kind of deeper into this arc. So the fact that they're still going with that in the anime means that it's got to be in the game in some way, shape or form. Like originally, obviously Legend ZA was supposed to be getting DLC in June 2025, which is literally like basically next month. But obviously we're not getting that because the game got pushed back so much. So Mega Zeraora was probably going to be in that DLC, but it now isn't going to be in that DLC because that DLC doesn't exist, seeing as we're about to hit June 2025 and the game isn't even out. So we might still get that DLC, but further down the line. But will that be the DLC where Mega Zeraora is introduced, or is it just going to be introduced as a mystery gift, or is it just going to be introduced into Pokemon Champions? Who knows? But the main thing to take away from that is that we are going to see what Mega Zeraora will look like because of the Pokemon anime. So hopefully it's just available in the game, whether it's some sort of raid or something in Scarlet and Violet. Again, very, very unlikely, but again, it's something that they may kind of incorporate into the game, and then you can like send it to Legend ZA and can Mega Evolve it or something like that. Who knows? But yeah, main takeaway, Zeraora's Mega in the anime, not in the base game, kind of gives us more hope for DLC. And as well as that, they have another update regarding the next anime. And while talking about the Pokemon anime leaks, the Gen 10 anime, so Gaia, which of course is the codename for Generation 10, is already in the works since last year. So it's been being kind of designed and developed since 2024 and is aiming to be expected next year in 2026. So not sure when the Scarlet and Violet kind of arc will end. We've got all of this year, and then depending on when it comes out in 2026, we might have like half of 2026 as Scarlet and Violet, and then the anime after that is, of course, Generation 10. The protagonist, though, is a boy. So it doesn't look like Lyko and Roy are going to be the main protagonists of the Generation 10 anime. It looks like this is just going to be a one-off sort of anime. I don't know if it means we're going to go back to Ash, because even though the protagonist is a boy, they might just do a brand new character again. Who really knows? Could be like Ash's son. It could be set in the future, which would be really cool. But yeah, that's just kind of some more leaks regarding the anime, the next generation anime, and also what it means for Zeraora as well in Pokemon Legend ZA, because I feel like if they're still doing so much Zeraora stuff in the anime and they're literally featuring the anime around Mega Zeraora because it's Mega Voltage, you'd like to think that that Mega Pokemon is going to be in the new Pokemon game. But I don't know, food for thought, but let me know what your kind of feelings are towards this. Moving on, we have apparently seen footage of a stolen Nintendo Switch 2. This is Game Rant here tweeting out saying, a Nintendo Switch 2 console is allegedly smuggled out of a manufacturing facility in China ahead of its official release date. So this isn't like a rumor or anything. They've basically uploaded a video of them on the Switch 2. I'm not going to show the video because I don't want to get in trouble and stuff, and plus it's not on this article anyway, but there is a video kind of circulating online where you can literally see this person playing the Nintendo Switch 2. Well, they can't really play the Nintendo Switch 2 because apparently it's like a factory version that doesn't allow you to use games and stuff on it or whatever, but they do have a working, I guess, Nintendo Switch 2 system. So a Nintendo Switch 2 console may have been illegally smuggled out of a manufacturing facility in China. Since the release of the gaming giant's first modern console, it's been a long 8-year wait for many Nintendo fans, but with the launch of the hugely anticipated second iteration approaching fast, the wait is almost over. The Nintendo Switch 2 is slated for release on June the 5th, but it seems one person couldn't bear it any longer and allegedly stole a console right off the production line. So while the console won't be on shelves until June, Nintendo Switch 2 US pre-sale orders will open on April the 24th. Again, hope you got one. Originally, Nintendo planned to start on the 9th of April, but after the sweeping tariffs brought in by the Trump administration, the company decided to push it back so it had time to assess the impact that they would have on the upcoming console. With the immense hype surrounding the Nintendo Switch 2, many fans will have the pre-sale and release dates penciled in, and one individual may have even taken matters into their own hands and grabbed one illegally. So a recent video posted on the Chinese social media platform Bilibili has been doing the rounds, showing off what appears to be a Nintendo Switch 2 console running quality control software. The video displays options like charge battery, launch, aging test, reboot, and shutdown, which point to the unit being installed with quality control software that is used before the final retail firmware is installed. It also shows a person trying to attach and disconnect the Joy-Con from the console. Nintendo has yet to comment on the video or verify its validity. So Nintendo Switch 2 reportedly stolen before upcoming launch date. So some of the new features set to be included on the Switch 2 Joy-Con, which is shown in the video, have already been released, including its magnetic attachment, which locks it in place seamlessly, and the mysterious C button that will be used for game chat. So the presence of the new Joy-Con in the video suggests that at least this part of the console is likely genuine. On top of the Joy-Con, Nintendo has also announced the updated pricing for the Nintendo Switch 2, which is set to retail for $449 or $499 for the Mario Kart World bundle. Mario Kart World will go for $80, which gamers who opt for the bundle knocking $30 off the total price tag. Mario Kart World is just one of many games confirmed for the Nintendo Switch 2, including the latest entry in the long-running DK franchise, Donkey Kong Bonanza. The video doesn't show any actual gameplay, as that would likely entail the individual getting their hands on an unreleased game in addition to allegedly stealing the console itself. It remains to be seen if the video is authentic, but if it turns out to be true, there will surely be some jealous Nintendo fans out there. So, like I say, if you need to see the video, I'm sure it's on Twitter or something like that. But yeah, someone basically just kind of playing around with the Nintendo Switch 2, showing how it works, but they're not playing any games on it or anything like that because they don't have that kind of software. Coming up next, we have some new tariff updates regarding China and Vietnam. Go Nintendo tweet here posting saying Nikki shares new insight into the Switch 2 production in China/Vietnam, talks tariff and potential impact. So, could it be any worse? Nintendo could not be having a worse time with the Switch 2. The Nintendo Direct fully pulling back the curtain on the platform went well, but the news right after has been a nightmare scenario for Nintendo. Reaction to pricing on the hardware and games has been extremely negative, but that pushback has been dwarfed by the current tariff situation going on in the US. So Nintendo foresaw tariff struggles while producing the Nintendo Switch 2, which is why they shifted some production to Vietnam. Their plan was to sell Vietnam-produced Nintendo Switch 2 units in the US to avoid expected tariffs on China, and then President Trump hit Vietnam with a 46% tariff. That caused Nintendo to pause pre-orders on the Nintendo Switch 2 in the US, but the situation didn't stop there. So tariffs on Vietnam have since been paused for 90 days, less than that now, but there's still a blanket 10% tariff on all regions. The situation on electronics produced in China has gotten far, far worse, as right now there's a 145% tariff on products coming from the country. While some electronics manufacturers have seen their products exempted from the tariffs, that's not the case for Nintendo and the Nintendo Switch 2. I mean, if you take a look at Amiibos, for example, they've like doubled in price because of these tariffs. It's actually kind of crazy. There are still millions of Nintendo Switch 2 units being produced in China, and Nintendo simply wouldn't be able to sell those in the US, as a 145% tariff would cause an incredible strain on Nintendo's bottom line, and they'd have to hike up the Nintendo Switch 2 price to an astronomical level. According to Nikki, the majority of Nintendo Switch 2 units are made in China and a relatively small portion come from Vietnam. What Nintendo does from here on out is a mystery, which is probably why we still don't have word on when Switch 2 pre-orders are going live in the States. Obviously, this was posted a while ago. If what Nikki says is true, it would mean there's potential for serious Nintendo Switch 2 supply constraints to the US, as again, bringing units from China with a 145% tariff is just not feasible. It all depends on the rate Nintendo's production line in Vietnam can crank out Switch 2 units for the US, and only the manufacturer and Nintendo know what's possible while maintaining quality. I mean, we've already seen the kind of shortage of consoles, because I know a lot of people struggle to get a Nintendo Switch 2 pre-order, and that is just simply because there's just not enough stock. We thought there was going to be enough stock. They said there was going to be enough stock, but because of these tariffs and stuff, they can't, like, the big production in China, just they can't bring those into the US because they just have to pay so much money on it, and it's just not worthwhile, because either we'll have to pay so much more or Nintendo will have to pay so much more, and they're not going to do that. So it'd be on us, that, well, people in America and Canada that have to do it. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Obviously, we've gone over this quite a couple of different times, but it's just a bit of an update regarding kind of like what's going on with Nintendo and why, you know, you might not be fortunate enough to potentially get a Nintendo Switch 2 pre-order. It's basically because of all the tariffs and stuff. But anyway, that is an update regarding that. Finishing things off, though, we have another update to go over for the Nintendo Switch 2. We've got Game Rant here tweeting, senior Nintendo officials reveal that the Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Cons nearly missed out on a helpful feature that took many iterations to perfect. So they start off by saying the Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Cons almost missed out on the release button, senior Nintendo officials have revealed. Although the company eventually found a way to include this helpful feature in the Switch 2 controllers, it took many iterations to get it right. So Nintendo had already wanted to implement magnetic Joy-Cons on the original Switch. However, the prototype controllers kept falling out during handheld use, prompting the company to abandon the idea. The Switch thus launched with two side rails used to attach the controllers, which can slide back out while the user is holding a release button located on the back of each Joy-Con. So thanks to technological advancements, Nintendo was able to revisit the idea of magnetic attachments with its upcoming console. The Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Cons now snap onto the console using magnets. But in the process of ditching the old rail mechanism, the company almost did away with the Joy-Con release button as well. That's according to Switch 2 producer Koichi Kawamoto, who said as much in a recent interview with Mobile Syrup. Originally, we didn't have the button that would release the magnet, and so you had to pull, Kawamoto recalled. So given the lack of a button-based release mechanism and reliance on magnets, Kawamoto was concerned that children would be able to pull the console apart too easily. Following that train of thought, he instructed Nintendo's hardware engineers to use a strong magnet in the Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Cons. At the same time, he wanted the magnetic connection to be weak enough so that the controllers could still be pulled apart by any adult. Kawamoto acknowledged that this was a conflicting request, but noted that his team still had ideas on how to fulfill it. Some of those options were ruled out because the necessary technology wasn't quite available, the executive explained. So Nintendo eventually settled on a solution that retains the essence of the original Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons release button, but with modifications to make it suitable for detaching a magnetic accessory. Instead of disengaging a physical lock, the new release button extends a small plunger that physically pushes the controller away from the console, assisting in detachment. Nintendo Switch 2 Takuhiro Dota said a lot of work went into getting this mechanism just right, highlighting the highly iterative nature of consumer electronics design. Nintendo's next console is scheduled to hit the store shelves on the 5th of June. Following a 2-week delay, the Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders will open in the US on the 24th of April. Nintendo decided to honor the originally announced $450 price tag, despite the looming threat of the Trump administration tariffs, which are currently paused but set to resume in mid-July 2025, unless new trade details are reached before then. However, most Switch 2 accessories will be between 5 to 25% more expensive than initially announced stateside. So, a little bit of an update regarding the magnetic Joy-Cons there, and then how they nearly kind of missed out on like the release button and everything like that. But anyway, that's going to be everything for today's video. If you enjoyed it, drop a like down below. It's trying to hit 500 likes, does really help out. Leave a comment with your thoughts on any of the Nintendo Switch 2 stuff we covered. Again, if you want to see the leaked Nintendo Switch 2 video, then it's probably somewhere on Twitter or whatever. And then also, what are your thoughts on Mega Zeraora being in the anime and most likely going to be in the game, whether it be through a free update or DLC or whatever? Let me know your thoughts on all that as well. But thank you for watching. Subscribe if you're brand new. Ring the notification bell for daily Pokemon content. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And until next time, peace.